Sometimes I pull clothes out of my closet that I haven't worn in literal years, and then I'll wear them every single day. Anyone else do this? That's not what this video is going to be about. So, hello. I went to see Wuthering Heights on Valentine's Day. If you are watching this and have not seen it yet, there may be some spoiler alerts. I'm going to try not to, but I can't promise that I won't. There has been such an uproar on the internet about this movie and whether or not Kathy and Heathcliff's love is quote unquote toxic or not. And I want to dive into this because it's important for all of us that we understand love, what it actually means to be in love, how to have the emotional maturity and mastery of our energy and our nervous system to be able to hold love, and how in this modern day and age, we have really fucked this up across the board. Hello, welcome to Your Okay Way of Healing, Expanding, Spiritually Transforming, and Mastering Energetics. This is my sidekick, Aslan. He loves to be a part of all the things. My name is Yara Okay, spiritual mentor, leadership and nervous system genius, and all around energetic sorceress, as well as clinically trained therapist. So let's dive into this. We love to talk about love, right? Like it's like one of our favorite subjects because we as humans are built for attachment and connection. And attachment and connection are the same but different. And we have not been taught how to evolve out of attachment and into connection. And I'm going to get to that. You're going to get some, I promise. So I have to admit, that comes from another creator, but it's just so intoxicating. Hi, Nero. If Nero ever watches this, I just love when he says it. You're going to get some. It's really fun. My mom actually now says it to her dog. So, anyways, here we are. So, we have not been taught how to actually come from a place of connection versus attachment. And in this modern day world, when it comes to love, we are so fixated on getting it right. And it's tricky because once upon a time, especially for women, it was wired into our being that if we didn't get married, we would literally die. And so we have this innate survival instinct when it comes to getting married, when it comes to having a man in our lives, when it comes to being partnered up. And because we're attachment based creatures, we're terrified of being alone. Now, because we're attachment based creatures means we actually also need connection. This is where humans are so sneaky and tricky. And we are not taught how to suss out true connection versus attachment. Attachment energy will ask you, when you're coming from attachment energy, you will dim your shine. You will choose attachment versus authenticity. And you may do that for so many years of your life that you actually don't even know what's authentic to you anymore. And this starts in childhood when we choose attachment over authenticity. This is Dr. Gabor Mate's theory, because our literal survival is dependent on it, which is true. And so if you think about it, and let's say you show up and you're like loving to wear like pink fluffy dresses. We're going to use a very sweet example. You love to wear pink fluffy dresses. And you show up at your in front of your mom and your mom kind of makes fun of it and isn't really into it. And then you're like, "Oh, my desire to wear pink fluffy dresses is wrong." And then you shove it down in and you choose your mom's approval over your own authenticity. Now, not everyone does this. Some kids just they don't care. I was one of those kids. But that's not true for everybody. A lot of people will are very sensitive to the approval of their parents and they will dim their own shine to get that approval, which is choosing attachment over authenticity. Now, think about how this starts to evolve later in life. You'll do it for friendships, you'll do it for relationships, and then all of a sudden you no longer even know what's authentic to you because you've been choosing attachment for so long. Then when it comes to actually choosing connection versus attachment, you might not actually have any idea what is true and what is real. And your attachment drive is so strong that you maybe just grasp on and create a fantasy about someone, or you choose someone for safety, and then you slowly, your life force dies inside. Now you might be thinking, Yara, what does this have to do with Wuthering Heights? Well, Kathy chose social status and money over Heathcliff, who she loved. And a lot of people are saying that with Heathcliff, it was just attachment and trauma bonding. Kathy and Heathcliff were in love. It was a divine love that you could call was attachment because they grew up together, but you could see how Heathcliff really saw her. And this has been talked about a lot with the movie where Edgar really loved like her with the pail and the he did her room in like this like very blush pink color that he said reminded him of her skin. It was all about him and how he saw her. It was not about her and her expression where she wears like red and she's passionate and she's a little bit of a pain in the ass. And Heathcliff really loved those facets of her. They would kind of get him off, right? He'd like laugh at the fact that she was a little bit of a brazen brat, and he loved it. That is love. Now, it turned toxic because, first of all, they come from very toxic backgrounds. They come from very traumatized and abusive relationship families. Like her, Kathy's father was abusive to both of them. And so neither of them knew how to hold love. It's not like they had an open conversation like, hey, I'm in love with you, but I really need money. So, like, I don't know what to do, right? They didn't talk about it. It just became, it was like something Kathy tried to repress. Then Heathcliff overheard her talking to Nellie about it, and then he took off. And when he came back, she had married the man for money. This makes so much sense for the time. And a lot of people are saying, oh, it was just toxic, but like we aren't recognizing what feeling and actually being in love will do to us. So, going back to our attachment, we will choose attachment sometimes because it feels safer. And then when you're actually met with real love, and if you have ever been in love, you know it. It's not a maybe. It's not like anytime I say, have you ever been in love? And people go, I think so. I'm like, no, you haven't because you fucking know. Through your whole body, it's undeniable. Like there is no questioning, there is no possibly, there is no I think so. There is I have felt this expansive love through my whole being and it overtook me. And now those of you listening might be like, that's just a chemical reaction, or that was just your dopamine, or no, when you're in love, you know. It's a calm. It's not butterflies, like anxiety butterflies, like a dopamine high, or like when you're chasing a toxic, trauma bond. I don't even like any of these words, but I'm using them because I know that people use them and it's the language of the of that's going to get across. It's not that. It's not like this anxiety, like, oh, I need. That's attachment. When you're in love, it's like, oh, I feel this in my whole being. And the person might not be able to show up to it because showing up to love, true, actual love, is going to ask you to become your most divine self. Unless you're in a toxic cycle with it with each other. And so people who haven't been guided on how to have mastery of their emotions, they could very easily act insane when it comes to love. In fact, many of us have probably been there. Think about your teenage years. If you ever were in love as a teenager, I know that I was, and I was straight up psycho. And also, I allowed myself to be controlled, which that's a little bit like complicated because I was also pretty insane. And the fact that he controlled me kind of kept me safe. So I almost think he saved my life in a lot of ways. However, that's my journey, right? That was the trajectory of my life. And I could look at that and go, oh, well, he was so controlling. He was such an asshole. And in some ways, yes, but in other ways, he was deeply in love with me. He was terrified something would happen to me. He was also very jealous and very insecure. And we were 15 years old. But I know it was love. And neither of us knew how to hold that emotion. And so I just let myself be controlled, and he was controlling, and it worked for us at that time. And then when it ended, which thank God it did, I was heartbroken and destroyed, but eventually evolved beyond it. That was my first time really being in love, and I've been in love. I'm someone who has been actually in love several times, and each time I have transformed more and more to be able to hold the intensity of what it is and the vulnerability of what it is to actually be in love. And so when you're watching Heathcliff and Kathy, they don't know how to hold that vulnerability. Like when you're that in love with someone, and love is freedom. So just because you're that in love with someone doesn't actually mean you're going to be with that person. And so having the ability to love that person and know that I might have to let them go. That might be part of my my trajectory in life is to feel able to be that non-attached that I can let go of someone who I love. And that has felt true for my journey. Now, again, we're not taught how to do that. We're not taught that loving someone is about them. We're taught, what can you give me? What can I get from you? Do they check off all the boxes? Are they texting me enough? Are they showing up on in the ways that I need them to? Now, I don't want to say that you don't get to have that kind of beautiful partnership, because I believe that that is what everyone is meant to experience at some point in some lifetime. That might not be your trajectory in this lifetime, but that divine union is meant to happen. Now, there's a difference between a relationship that functions, and you can see that in Wuthering Heights as well. Like, Edgar was a nice man, and he and Kathy worked well together. She didn't even hate having sex with him. She enjoyed it to some degree. It was not what she had with Heathcliff. And Heathcliff and Kathy were trans if they had continued. Sadly, they did not. And I know that the book is different than the movie. So I also know that. I read the book a long time ago. I don't remember it that well, but there are huge differences. But for Heathcliff and Kathy, had they stayed together, they would have transformed each other into loving each other in different in a more conscious and evolved way. They would have had to, either that or they would destroy each other, which is what they kind of did, right? And this is in modern day times, I liken this a little bit to Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne. Like, their love, there was a lot of bullshit that went on, a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, a lot of addiction, a lot of infidelity, and they transformed in many ways together. And there was a deep love there. I am in no way pedestaling that kind of trauma cycle. However, what I'm saying is that we don't realize that we are actually meant to transform through feeling vulnerable in that way. And it feels so much more comfortable for us to be in control, to have a relationship that feels like we're in control. There's someone who I watch often on social media, and she got married, and she's always like throwing into her stories, choose the guy who texts you every day, choose the guy who celebrates you, don't choose the connection that just is beyond meaning and you don't know why you have it. And it, to me, it feels like proving energy. It feels like she chose the safe route. She chose the Edgar. And again, Edgar and Kathy, they had a nice moment. In fact, while I was watching the movie, I was like, can we just like let them stay happy? like like they're good. She's pretty. She's got all these beautiful clothes. They're having pretty good sex. She's pregnant. They're happy. Like, just let her be. And like, just let it stay this way. We don't need to interrupt this with the chaos of Heathcliff. But you know, Kathy's dying inside. Like, her life force is dying. Her Eros is dying. She's not actually lit up. She's satisfied, quote unquote, a bit complacent and taken care of. And that is beautiful. And that may be your journey in this lifetime. That is not my journey. In fact, the universe won't even give that to me. My journey is to evolve and transform and alchemize true love into love is freedom. And partnership will look more like developing a higher consciousness together. And I believe that that divine counterpart and I will come together. My journey to getting there is going to look different. And this is where it's key for me and anyone else who's in a journey more like this to be able to discern between what is attachment and what is just toxic cycles, what is me perpetuating abandonment wounding versus what is me healing on the deepest of levels to embody love is freedom, and the egg chooses the sperm, and trusting in that receiving. My purpose to embody those teachings is so that I can teach them to you. Because if I haven't embodied them, then I can't effectively teach them to you in the way that I can have full certainty in their in the way that they work. And I'm just taking a breath with that because this is a big subject. And I truly believe that everyone is on their own journey when it comes to love. I have clients who were in seemingly very happy marriages, or one client who was in a seemingly happy marriage when we started working together. Through our work together, her authentic self came forward. She ended up leaving her husband, and now she's like an entirely different person. She was like the good girl. She was contracted. She was meek. Her husband controlled everything. She also was controlling. She was devoid of life force. And as she has evolved in this work with me, she has come alive, and now she lives alone, and she's uncovering who she is, and she's like this siren sex pistol blossoming. That's not who she would have thought she was, but it was who she actually is. And she couldn't have done that if she chose the nice relationship. You will know if you're choosing the nice relationship because your vitality will start to die. You will start to have health and physical symptoms. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that relationship. You just have to be honest about what it actually is, honest about what you're choosing, and not pretend otherwise. Because if you're honest about it, you won't have as many health symptoms. If you're not honest about it and you're pedestaling it and pretending it's like the mecca, you're going to have health issues because we are evolutionary beings, and love is one of the most transformational, especially romantic love, one of the most transformational energies in the world. A woman who's connected to her love will transform worlds, and a woman who's not will destroy them. And if you are choosing a relationship just because you quote unquote should, or it looks good on paper, or it's what everyone says you should do, you will start to die internally inside. Love is meant to transform you. It's meant to allow you to come alive and to bring forward all of your darkest parts so that you can alchemize them. And that's what a divine counterpart will be. They will be your mirror for that. And again, not everybody's meant to have that. We're all on different evolutionary journeys with this. I have friends who are in beautiful romantic relationships where this is not a part of their romantic relationship in such a high degree. In other ways, it is. Like I said, we're all different. This is the other thing we do with love is we like to put our opinion on it. So I read this thread the other day where someone was really shit talking Isabella and like how she took the breadcrumbs of Heathcliff. And in the book, that may have been true, but in the movie, she was totally lit up by it. She loved it. She just wanted to experience life. And we can't allow for that kind of nuance, that kind of gray. I this I was speaking to someone recently and we were talking about like different relationships we've had. And like when I was 24, I was quote unquote dating a man. And I think I've talked about it on this channel before. I've definitely talked about it on my podcast. It's episode 2 of my podcast. I called him a modern day Charles Manson. It was a nightmare. I knew it was going to be a nightmare when I got involved in it, but it transformed me. It opened me up sexually. It like brought me to life. I needed it. And what we do is when we have relationships like that, we then look back and shame our younger selves for it rather than being like, fuck yeah, young Yarrow, you took the bull by the horns and you went through the fire and you transformed because of it. We have lost the art of transformation, and love is one of the most transformational connections, relationships, energies. I mean, look at how much this little boy and I love each other. Like this kind of love. Um and we idolize perfection. We idolize perfect relationships. We don't realize that actually real love is going to come with a lot of pain and turmoil because of everything that you have repressed inside. You put your a person who you're in love with out in front of you, and it's going to mirror to you all the things that need to come forward. And then the question will be, can the two of you alchemize that together to create a deeper union, and one that's coming from a more truly heart-centered and loving place, not a fake one, truly heart-centered and loving? Can you hold each other to each other's divinity and evolve together? So the next time you start to judge quote unquote toxic relationships, I want you to really sit with, what could this person be learning? What is transforming through them? And if it's you, what am I learning? What is transforming through me? Where am I holding on from attachment? To go back to the beginning of this video, if you're just holding on to a toxic cycle because you're terrified of being alone, cut that shit free. And if you don't know how to do it, you need to have a nervous system that feels like it's dripping in gold so that you know how to release that. Everyone on the planet needs this work. Like, you desire to have deep romantic love. You desire to have freedom to relate to money with abundant money with openness and abundance. And why am I bringing money into this? Because money also makes you feel vulnerable. The things we sacrifice the most for are love and money. And when you know how to relate to them in a way where you're coming from the egg chooses the sperm, when you're coming from this anchored, energetic, grounded place, if you haven't watched the egg chooses the sperm video, go watch it. It will change your life, especially if you're a woman. If you don't know how to relate to these things from abundance rather than contraction and scarcity and shutdown, if we don't know how to relate to them from believing and having faith, even when we don't have 3D proof, from knowing how to transform in our lessons around love, around money, like entrepreneurship, the same as a romantic relationship, will highlight all of the ways that you are contracted, shut down, like all of the ways that you're not embodied in who you're meant to be, in your unique magnetic vibration. And so when it comes to either of these things, you want to be able to have a nervous system that can access, transform, and move with the lessons that you're being presented with. Because if you can't, you're going to perpetuate your own trauma cycles. So it's like, are you here or are you evolving, spiraling up? Might be spiraling down and then spiraling up again, and then maybe spiraling down and then spiraling up again. Like, are you able to work with these cycles? Are you able to work with your initiations, with your lessons, with the things that are being mirrored to you? Everything is inside of you, and what is inside of you will be mirrored outside of you. And we really love to blame. We love to be like, it's them, it's you. What is working through you? What are you transmuting through? What are you alchemizing? What is being shown to you? Where are you being mirrored that you're disconnected from love and that you're coming from attachment and control instead? Control's a whole other video. We are meant to evolve. We can't evolve when we're attaching to things looking a certain way. We can only evolve when we can get honest about the mirror, look at what is meant to be moving through us, how we're meant to be evolving, and then how able we are to actually connect to the truth of love versus what we think it should be, because those are very, very different things. So if you've seen Wuthering Heights, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you are in a relationship where you are shaming yourself, I would love for you to look at, am I relating through attachment versus connection? I didn't even dive into connection on this video. Connection's very different. Connection is light. It's not need, it's desire. And desire from a pure place, not from an activated addictive charge. Connection allows you to understand or allows you to be authentic. So when you're with someone and you're yourself and they're like lit up by it, rather than you feeling like you have to shrink yourself. And this goes for friendships, this goes for romantic relationships, it's across the board. Probably need to do an entire video just on that. And when it comes to love, like so many things are mediocre in this world. Do not let love be one of them. Do not try to convince yourself just because you feel safe with someone or it looks like it should or they're, celebrating you. Like that doesn't mean you're lit up by them. It doesn't mean that that's who you're meant to be with. Because who you're meant to be with is going to transform you into your highest, most divine, most radiant, most powerful self. And it's beautiful to be supported and it's beautiful to be quote unquote loved. But if you don't feel lit up and juicy and alive, you're probably settling for something that you think you should or choosing safety and attachment versus expansion and authenticity. And I know we have a lot of beliefs around this. We're really just, women are so mean about men. Men are so scared of women. That's not an excuse. It starts with women, though. Egg chooses sperm. We have to embody a different way of being so that we can actually experience the kind of lit up, juicy, alive, and connected love that we desire to experience, and partnership. So I truly believe we can come into partnership and continually expand for this lifetime together in the most potent, juicy, lit up, and eros filled of ways. So if this calls to you and you want to learn to embody this, reach out to me. Let's do some work together. I have the portal. It's my 6 or 12-month group mentorship program. It is 333 until per month for 6 or 12 months until the 1st of March when it goes up to 555 per month. I have the composer coming up in mid-April. If you are interested in being the first to know about the release of that, let me know. The composer is an 8-week sacred chrysalis designed to set you free. Those are the 2 ways right now. I am so excited to continue evolving on this journey of life with you all, and thank you for being here. Let me know if you have questions. Drop it in the comments below. Send me a message on Instagram. All the different ways. Reach out on my website. Thank you so much.